absolutely. I'm gonna have to call you back. Mr. Stain, sir, we've explored what you've asked us, and it seems as though there's a little hiccup. Sir, the technology actually doesn't exist. So wait,
the technology. William, here is the technology.
Honestly, it's impossible.
Hitler
was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
Well, I'm sorry.
But I'm not Hitler. Oh, I forgot to add myself to the stage. Good evening, ladies and gents. Of course, today we're going to be talking about STG44 from PSA, the thing that never was, shall never be. You guys can probably get that from the title, though. But while you're here, thank you so much for showing up live. To everybody watching this later, of course, thank you as well. Go ahead and hit that like button and, I don't know, type something funny down below. I don't know. I'm out of ideas with that. But before we get going, we should talk about it. Usually I have Gary here with me, but as some of you have noticed, he is not here. And that is because Gary has decided to step away for the time being. Reason B is that he was on the receiving end of quite a bit of hate, and some of that unfortunately trickled down to his kids. So he decided to call it there. And now I want to be very clear when it comes to me and Gary. When I wanted to do a weekly live show, Gary stepped up and helped out. Without Gary, there really wouldn't have been a show. Not to mention, I've known him for a long time. He's directly helped the channel with videos directly, supplying stuff, and also worked a lot behind the scenes. So while you're here in the chat or commenting on this later on, go ahead and actually say thanks, Gary, because he won't be on the channel, at least for the foreseeable future, but he has helped out quite a bit. And so, of course, thank you, sir, for all the help. And I'm sure he'll be watching this later on. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and say hello, fine gents. Yeah, who picked on him? Everybody picked on him. You guys were mean. Very mean. But moving on from there. Let's go ahead and let's pull... Oh, wrong tab. Let's get this one up. All right. So let's go ahead and we're going to talk about PSA and the STG44. So the STG44 is, of course, a World War II weapon. I believe it was ended and ended in like 1944, 1945. It was a very, very late addition to the German arsenal. Famously not liked by the Führer himself, and so it never really got the support. And so as that status, it has a crazy following because it was very limited production. You see them in a few other countries every now and again, but they're very rare. They're very hard to find. They weren't made for very long, and so that makes it a very exciting firearm. Now, I want to say 2015, 16, this is long before I get into firearms at all. There was a company called Hill and Machine, HMG, or Hill and Mac Machine, something like that. Anyways, those guys were making and selling an STG44 clone. I think there's a few others out there as well. I think GSG made a 22 version of it. There were a few imported by SSD as the PTR44. So it's a very hard gun to find. And if you have a real copy, I don't even know if a real copy exists in the US. I'm sure there's a few. If you want more history on the STG44, there are some really good videos out there. I think actually Brandon Herrera has a good video on the STG44 going over some of how it actually works, all that sort of fun stuff. So there are actually some really good videos on the history of it. I'm not really going into that because I'll say it up front. I don't care about the STG44. It's not my thing. I'm not a retro guy. I'm not a collector guy. I'm not into a lot of World War II firearms or earlier firearms. I'm a pretty basic guy. It's like AR-15s and polymer framed handguns. That's kind of what I do. Pretty boring when it comes to that. But me and PSA have a little bit of history, and so I thought this would be a fun idea because the STG44 had a lot of hype behind it. PSA came into the design, or they bought it from HMG. Not sure exactly how that relationship worked. That was a couple years ago, and they've been teasing it ever since. And now, essentially, it was not real. It's never been real. We'll get into it later whether or not we think they were actually working on it or if it was just a doomed project from the start, because there's a little bit of conflicting information out there. So why don't we go ahead and react to the update video. Now, I know some people earlier were saying that nobody cares. It's an STG44, you know, there's no market for it. I think there is a huge amount of hype behind the STG44. It's never been done right in terms of a recreation. It just hasn't. The PTR, the GSG, the HMB, never been done well. And if you look at it, this update video from just one day ago, 167,000 views, which for PSA, it's a lot. It's a big channel, but that's a lot of views for PSA. The only video that really comes close or beats it right now is the X57 from over a month ago. So this STG44 video, in terms of at least social media hype, probably one of their biggest products in terms of being teased. Yeah, Icon Tactical says my amount of care for reproducing poop guns equals 0%. Yeah, it's not really my thing, but I can assure you there is a lot of hype behind the products. Okay, let's grab this tab. Now this is their video. This is just from their YouTube channel, so this is up there. This is their product update that they dropped yesterday.
Hey guys, Cameron here from Palmetto State Armory, and I'm here to give you an update on the STG44. So
now, before we get into this, I do want to contrast some of the things with their videos because this is funny. Notice the very slow, somber music playing in the background for this product update, and then we'll go we'll look at some of their other product update videos, and there's a very stark contrast, so it's a little funny.
Hey guys, Cameron here from Palmetto State Armory, and I'm here to give you an update on the STG44. So guys, I wish I had some better news for you today regarding the STG44, but unfortunately I do not. When we acquired the STG44, we had very high hopes to get this gun into the market and get it to you, the end consumer who has been waiting for this project to come to life. Unfortunately, when we got this gun in our possession and we started looking into it, we have discovered more issues than we anticipated to find. As we started...
Now, keep in mind that they've had this design for 2 years. I want to say at least 2 years. And they have teased it, I believe, the last 2 SHOT Shows, at least as far back as 2023, which is almost 2 years ago now. So keep that in mind.
Troubleshooting those issues, we started uncovering other issues. So at this point, this gun is not ready for production. We have decided here to shelve this project for right now to focus on other projects and get them out to the finish line. We have projects that we are currently working.
Now, this part I totally get, right? PSA is trying to bring so much stuff to market. Like, you'll see it behind them. They have the M110 stuff. They have their new Saber lineup. They got the new Compact 5.7. That was also just delayed, but that was only delayed a couple weeks due to hurricane stuff, I want to say. So that's still coming out relatively shortly. They got shotgun stuff. They got back shotgun stuff. What's the other one? Bolt action stuff. X57, of course, which is a 2025 product. So the STG44, as we'll get into a little bit, was probably too tricky to bring to market quick enough and make money on it, especially when they can bring a 308 Jackal to market in, like, you know, say early next year, and that's going to sell a lot and be really easy to manufacture because it's a piece of extruded aluminum, right? Rather than trying to figure out how to work on an 80-year-old design that apparently didn't have any prints or anything for it.
Working on, and projects that you don't know about yet that you will find out in the upcoming months that we believe are more important to the firearms market and to our customer than the STG44. Again,
keep in mind they've been using the STG44 as marketing and hyping it for the last couple of years up until this point. So I think that the STG is important, at least to a lot of their companies or a lot of their customers. But what I believe he's saying here is that there's products that are easier to make and that we can actually turn around and start making money on. As I went into on my video on PSA, very dependent on cash flow is my professional opinion. So working on a project for 2 years with no end in sight, probably best to use those machines, that manpower, for something that you can actually sell. Right? Just makes sense.
Again, I want to reiterate, the STG44 at this time is an inactive project for us, If anything changes, you'll be the first to know. To stay up to date on all things Palmetto State Armory, stay tuned to our social media.
Yes. So Jacob Hessington says they like to announce stuff before they even have a working prototype. Yes. PSA is a hype company. That's kind of what they do, right? So if they can announce a product, get a lot of eyes on them, get you looking into their store, get you coming into their store, whatever it happens to be, that for them is good, right? That's marketing. So if I said tomorrow, like, I bought out Geisley and I'm going to be bringing something to the market, everybody would click on that video. Total BS, but everybody would click on that video. You guys in the chat, you're still being mean. You're still being mean. I can't believe it, guys. I think that's pretty much the last thing of interest in the video. Oof, look at that. Lights turn off, slowly fade away. So good. So good. Anyways, let's move on to their video from, this was in 9 months ago. So actually 9 months exactly today. Perfect timing. So this is just before SHOT Show 2024. They released an STG44 update. This video has 350,000 views. Again, there's a lot of social media hype behind the STG44. PSA was going to be the first one to do it right, which... Ooh, that is a tall order. So let's go.
Hi, I'm Cameron Tapler with Palmetto State Armory, and today I'm going to be giving you an update on the STG44.
Now, remember when I said to keep in mind the contrast between the tones of the video and whatnot? Here we got some generic YouTube-free rock music, and then the other one was like the slow prodding. Very sad. This project had to be shut down. But let's let them talk about it right before SHOT Show this year.
So we are currently in our initial test phasing of getting the STG44 into production. It took us a few months to get the cell up and running, get all the machines dialed in, and now we are happy to say that we are there and getting first production runs off the line.
I don't believe you. Right? Right? We don't believe that? Right? One of those things can't be true. The initial statement of we can't get this gun into production yesterday versus 9 months ago, it's moving into production. Now, it is possible that they actually did get all the machines set up and running. And then, as he said, we found more issues. But man, like 9 months is a long time. And here we have what looks to be a PSA product in the raw, right? And then he says this going into production like now. And again, keep in mind, this is right in front of SHOT Show that I was out this year. Yeah, excellent pause frame. That face is, yeah, this thing is never coming to the market, but I'm going to tell you that it is right before SHOT Show so we don't get molested at SHOT Show.
We are still doing our initial testing on this, so we do not have a hard ETA on this, but look forward to it sometime in 2024.
That was a lie, but again, he couldn't have known that at that time, we think.
We get further along in our testing and have more of an accurate ETA on this, we will provide that update on our social media. With Palmetto State Armory, and today I'm going to be giving you an update.
We'll provide our update on our social media. Here's the update. It's dead, guys. It's dead. It's dead, guys. It's over. The party's over. Anyways, yeah. So let's listen to this one more time. It's only 40 seconds long. Mm-hmm. So first production lots off the line. Is that his exact words? First production runs off the line. Okay. So if that's true 9 months ago, were they sitting on inventory or was it actually so bad that they couldn't ship it? And I wonder if people got some into test. Like, they'll beta test, not beta test. Well, actually, no, they will actually beta test on certain individuals and whatnot. Send them a pre-production sample. They won't allow them to take any pictures with it, any videos with it, anything like that. So I wonder if there are a few of them floating around. But now, something that he did say in that video, which I actually realized I didn't share with you, but you probably heard the audio. That's my bad. I don't have a producer anymore, guys. What can you expect? But if they actually did take a couple months of machine time setting up for an STG44, like, that's pretty rough, because when you think about it, you should be making, let's say, $120 an hour per machine for those to essentially have been at zero for months, not to mention the labor hours as well. That's a lot of wasted money. So I think you could look at it from a top-down perspective of like, hey, this project, let's say it's 50% to completion. It's cost us $1.3 million so far. Should we invest another $1.3 million and 6 months of machine time? Or should we actually sell 10,000 more jackals and make $6 million, right, in that time frame? We should do that, right? Because those machines can do other things. If they're doing nothing, let's swap them off. So from a business perspective, I totally understand it. Now, as we mentioned earlier, HMG was one of the companies that was originally doing it. They tried to come out with like 5 different calibers, I want to say, like 300 blackout, 5.56, 7.62 by 39, and 8mm Mauser, or one of those other weird calibers that was like actually chambered in or something like that. But anyways, they took a lot of pre-orders for STG44s like back in 2016, 2017, a long time ago. And nobody ever saw their firearms, or only a few people ever saw their firearms. Yeah, just a little rough. So HMG did take pre-order money, did not ship product. Big scummy move. F those guys for essentially stealing people's money. Now, PSA cancels a project. They didn't take anybody's money for it, though, right? They just built up some internet hype. Totally different ball games that we're talking about. This one here was an article written in January 23rd of 23, so almost 2 years ago at this point, right? This is the HMG STG44 clone will see life in PSA's Battlefield series. So you can see that there are some examples made. So I wonder if these are essentially laying around somewhere, they need to be reworked, or are some of these basically unfixable? Because again, these should be stamped sheet metal piston rifles, right? Which once you stamp a piece of sheet metal, that's kind of one and done at that point. So if they had some internal issues and they, like, say, stamped 1,000 or whatever it happens to be, lost all that stock, starting back from zero is kind of rough. So yeah, from Hugo Schmeiser to Hill and Mack Gunworks to PSA, the saga of the modern Sturmgewehr 44 has entered another chapter and is on the cusp of factory production. Not quite. 2 years on, still no STG44. Legendary for its role in the firearms history, the original MP43, MP44s, STG44s chambered in 7.92 by 33 Kurtz intermediate cartridge when it first hit the field in 1943. So yeah, 1943 to 1945. Yeah, very short production run. Very few of them actually exist. So moving on back to Palmetto State Armory, they have a history of not finishing their projects. Not at all. Because how many of you guys remember the PSA MP5? That was something I heard about when I first got into guns, like 7 years ago, 6 years ago, long time ago. I remember it was at SHOT Shows. People were talking about it. There were videos on the PSA MP5. I want to say they called it the PSA 5 or the P5 or something like that. So if we are on their YouTube channel, we type in MP5, yeah, there's nothing here. STG44 update, of course. But there's nothing on the MP5 on their YouTube channel. So I imagine they might have unlisted a lot of their MP5 videos, because it was a thing for a long time. This is by Ian DaCosta back in January 24th. So again, SHOT Show of 2020, 4 years ago, showing off the PSA's affordable MP5, which again doesn't exist and will never exist at this point in time. 2 years ago, just a quick little Reddit post. So whatever happened to the PSA MP5 clone? And as you can see down below, Lucky Balboa Prime, great name, PSA co-founder, is on ARFCOM and has recently confirmed that the MP5 is dead. And again, there was a lot of hype for it. This is from SHOT Show. This is from Slab Guns 4 years ago. And this is the old PSA guy talking about it with him going over the feature set and all that. But it doesn't exist, right? It's vaporware. It's not real, never been real, never will be real. Which is part of the reason why SHOT Show's coming up again. It feels like I was just there, but SHOT Show's coming up again. So I'll probably be at SHOT Show 2025. But half the stuff that I see in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is just nonsense. Like it's like we're talking about it, and I'm like, this is nonsense. This isn't real. This isn't real, guys. It's not going to happen. Some of the comments on this video were pretty funny, though. Forgotten Weapons saying, this is my shocked face. Yes, I believe that he knows what's up in that regards. Thanks for the update. It's sad, but I'm glad you guys stay transparent with us. 800 likes, of course, hearted by PSA. It's weird because on one hand, it's nice to know that a project is canceled. It's also not nice to know that you got, say, led on for 2 years in the STG44's case, or like 5 years in the PSA MP5 case, right? So it's transparent, but maybe on a technicality. Honesty is so refreshing in the manufacturing space. Again, only 9 months ago, they were saying they had models rolling off the production line. So, you know, it's thanks for letting me know it's canceled, but at the same time, that's not like the peak of honesty. All right. So I think that covers the PSA debacle. Let's go ahead and talk about HK. Now, HK USA is the American version of HK, basically. So I'll read off this letter. This was about a month ago. The reason why this is important, of course, is because HK this morning at midnight, when I saw a bunch of YouTubers drop their video on it, the HKCC9, which is their new micro carry compact 9mm, of course. So, dear HK Pro community, as the CEO of HKI and HKD, the two divisions in the USA, it is with immense pride and excitement that I address you today to share some significant news that marks a new chapter in our storied history. Over the years, the the Heckler & Koch name has been synonymous with precision engineering, reliability, and innovation in the world of firearms. We have always strived to uphold the highest standards in everything we do, and our commitment to excellence has earned the trust and admiration of professionals and enthusiasts alike. La 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 la. We are thrilled to introduce HK USA. Basically, over the last 5 years, they've been working on bringing American manufacturing capabilities to the HK brand, essentially. So putting it in the US for, as we'll get into in a minute, firearms designed for Americans. And we'll get into what exactly that means. Yeah. So will HK USA be held to the same standards as HK Germany? HK has a single worldwide standard. This is the HK standard, regardless of whether it has been made in Germany, UK, France, or USA. All testing and manufacturing protocols will always follow the proven quality measures that have built the company. Now, that's actually really good to hear because, man, if you want to kill a company, especially a new branch of a gun company, HK USA is going to be treated by fans, especially if it flops hard, it's going to be treated as a separate company than the mainline HK. And then they'll always want to try and get the German HK. That's the one that you want. You want the ones made in Germany, not the crappy ones made in the US. We've seen that with other brands as well. But if they can maintain quality for this new launch, especially, and not have issues, because again, if they come out with this new handgun and unlike, or like SIG, I should say, it starts blowing up in 3 to 6 months, big problems. That's going to kill the name of HK USA real fast, as if your first product is a flop. So they've been very cautious very, very cautious bringing products to the market. So far, over the last 7 years, they have one, right? This one that will launch like yesterday. So the US-made HK-CC9 designed for American shooters. Now, as the title of the stream implies and the thumbnail, it looks very, very similar to a Taurus G3c, whatever that letter and number combination is, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing, right? The Taurus is a fine-looking handgun. You might not like what's inside of it or the quality control process, but it looks fine. It looks fine. So they just happen to look very similar. A new gun for a new era. I don't agree with that title. This trend started 10 years ago. So again, the mock-ups of the gun were in late 2017, 7 years ago at this point. And I believe if you watch the TFB TV video with James, I believe he was shooting prototypes in 2021, 2020. So they've had this gun around for quite some time. I believe Europe has a slightly different version of the gun that's already been released for about a year. So this design has been around. They've been working on this for a long time. Because again, you release a new product in a already saturated marketplace and it sucks or it doesn't compete or it's worse than everything else, nobody's going to buy it, right? Because it's not a new thing, right? It's an old thing at this point. It's the standard thing at this point. Let me see. Where do they have? Yeah, so you can see the lines. Looks good. No real problems with it. Has a real pick rail. Optics cut, of course. The width is 0.99 inches, which is probably not including the control, so it's probably a little bit wider than that at the slide stop. That would be my guess. 3.2-inch barrel. Standard capacity of 12. Not really. Standard capacity of 10 with a flush fit, and then 12 with the slight extension. Most people will probably have just use the 12-round magazine, right? And I think on if I watch Mr. Guns and Gear videos today, they actually come with stickers on the bottom to tell you which one they are. Yeah, Quantum is making fun of this guy for shooting nice thumb position. You know, that happens, especially on these small frame guns. A lot of guys with bigger hands, they just hang their thumbs out there. They don't actually do anything. They're just hanging out there, but not actually pressed into the slide. So also a lot, I don't know. This gentleman that wrote this article looks beautiful. I'm sure it's written well. I probably don't agree with a lot of what's in it, but a lot of writers are writers that happen to get stuck into reviewing gun stuff. So it's not like guns were their passion and they learned how to write. They were writers and then they were like, oh, guns are cool on the side. So all right. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So these were the videos that dropped. I think, yeah, Mr. Guns and Gear and TFBs, they dropped at the exact same time at midnight last night. So I was just scrolling through my phone like it's late at night and whatnot, and I see all these new videos pop up. I'm like, what the heck? It's a timed release video, of course. So the videos are fine. You should watch them. Good reviews if you want to learn a little bit more about it. This is just me talking about it conceptually. I think a couple other people had them. A&R Design, and that's actually about it. So yeah, small, lightweight, not particularly interesting, but made for the American market. So let's talk about that for a minute. This, as HK is stating, is designed for the American shooter. I don't think that most guys who are looking to get an HK care about another concealed carry handgun. I don't think so. Right? If I'm talking to an HK fan, I'm thinking he wants an MP5. He wants an HK33. He wants an MP7, an MP40, right? That's what he wants from an HK. It's like, hey, you want another micro carry 1.5 stack 9mm? Right? Not particularly exciting. Even worse, if I'm interpreting that correctly, HK USA is going to be bringing like tailored guns to the US market for the US consumer, which to me screams they're going to like rebrand a generic AR, and you're going to have your HK AR-15, and it's going to be a bunch of white label components or whatnot, be a bunch of garbage like FN did with the Guardian or all these other companies do. I think that if you're looking, I didn't even realize I had that open. Had my DaVinci open in the background. Now I'm distracted. Yeah, I don't think like an HK guy is going to be like, oh, I just can't wait to have an HK AR-15. I don't think that gets people excited. 416s, yeah, absolutely. That's what they want, and they don't want to spend $5,000 to $7,000 on it. Now, HK, being a business, of course, they might bring in a American version of a product and only charge like, it goes from $5,000 to $4,000. Ooh, that's exciting. Now, I have some other information that we'll go over. This was some of the stuff is sorted from Mod O, of course, on Instagram. You should, of course, be following him for the most up-to-date memes and HK information. So this was a source from him. This was about a month ago when all of this was being released, and I just thought I would roll it into this video, or this stream. So currently, here's what I'm told from my many, many sources is coming from HK USA in the future. This is, again, just what I'm being told behind closed doors. Chrome-lined barrels for the 416/417. That's not particularly exciting to me. The adjustable gas blocks, however, for the 416 and 417, that is exactly what those need to make those much more modern, competent firearms, especially for the, non-military contract guy. For us that actually want to use them and to have a good time with them, with our setups, our suppressors, our ammo, adjustable gas blocks are the way to go. New modular 9mm handgun, presumably the CC9 I shared in a previous story. Yep, and that did release, of course, 20 hours ago. So he's batting really well as of this point. Updated variants of the 416/417, like the latest A8 or whatever model they're on now in Germany. And of course, the civilian MP7, which I think is what a lot of people want. Now, going back to the PSA thing, I don't think the PSA MP7 and the HK MP7 are going to compete with each other at all, right? They're going to be in different calibers, 4.6, 5.7. Honestly, even if HK made it in 5.7, it wouldn't matter. The HK gun is going to be $500 to $1,000, $1,500 more expensive. HK fans are only going to buy that. And then when PSA comes out with their MP7-ish thing, PSA fans are going to buy that, and it's probably going to be like $1,500, which for PSA is a ton of margin because they're not going to have much competition. Yeah. Because, of course, back in April, they did file for a patent on the SP7, which is probably going to be the civilian HK7, MP7. There are so many letters and numbers floating around in my head right now. We got the CC9, H&K, PSA, MP5. Way too much going on to keep it all straight, but you guys can see it on screen. That, the civilian MP7 from H&K USA is probably coming within the next 10 years. I would say over under 51%, it comes in the next 10 years. At least 10 years. I think that's a good ratio. All right. It's half hour in. Let's get back to some super chats. Thank you all very much for being here, for your support. We do have one more little story to go over. Be a shorter stream tonight. Be a little more chill, I think. Andrew Pachon for $1.99 says, here we frackin' go. It's good to be back. It's good to have you, sir. I hope you are feeling quite well, sir. Andrew Pachon for, again, $1.99 says, love you, Gary. Fido O'Rourke. Yes, you will probably see him in the chat from time to time. Thank you again for the $1.99, sir. Julian with a huge $20 super chat. Thank you very much. It's the Gary cast now. Bring him back. Rest in peace, Harambe. Yes. Sorry, Harambe. It had to be done. Josh says, I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite live stream on the Citadel. Yes, indeed. I should go. Nick for $5 says, the STG44 and MP5 both require industrial-grade stamping tools and dies. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to build one right. It can even run into the millions depending on what the tool is. So you would know a lot more about that sort of stuff than I would, but whatever internal problems they were having, again, 9 months ago, they said they were literally just about to go back into production, or they were being produced. So either they did produce some and found a bunch of issues, or they just weren't able to get them to the quality that they wanted, and it was going to cost them more in the long run. Could be any number of things, but yeah. The Banana Watch for $4.99. Thank you very much, sir. Says, I commented on PSA Twitter post about shelving the STG. I asked if they were going to refund the people that prepaid, and they blocked me. My shock. Nobody prepaid for the STG44, did they? Surely PSA wouldn't be that dumb. They would never accept prepayments for a product like that. That would be horrifying. Because, yeah, if you gave PSA money for a product that's never going to exist, I would be pissed. But I know HMG did take pre-orders and never delivered. So, unless you're referring to them not paying off the HMG guys, which I would hope that wouldn't happen. Or I would hope, I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know if I bought out a company that had a bunch of debt. I guess you would technically have to pay it off, or those people would have to go through like small claims court. But yeah, no, that's a messy situation. The bottom line is don't take pre-orders for anything. Ever. Terribly Tactical, $2. Thank you very much, sir. He says, the CC9 is uglier than me. It's got a lot of weird lines on it. Now, from what I've seen so far from the early reviews, it seems to be relatively reliable, robust. The optics system isn't terrible. The trigger seems good. 18 ounces, 12 round capacity. Not terrible. But again, there's so many competent micro 9s out there right now that it's a saturated market. So it's really hard to get excited that now that just H&K is in there, right? So the average guy going into a gun store, he's going to see 4 micro 9s at $4.99, one at $5.99, and oh, there's the HK, it's only $6.99, or I don't know what the price is on it, right? But it's not going to stand out between any of the other ones. In fact, it again looks like a Taurus G3c. All right. Andrew Vachon for $49.99. Whew, thank you very much, Andrew. The biggest pickle, the biggest donator, in fact, the biggest sponsor of the channel, Andrew Vachon. HK is like SIG or CZ. Their old handguns are cool. Their modern polymer guns are never beating Glock or the M&P. And the rifles are overweight. Front heavy, over-engineered garbage. Their fans are mostly hipsters who need a shower. Andrew is not Team HK, sir. Yeah, I mean, I've shot some SIG handguns that I didn't hate. Most of them were heavily modified. CZs, I've shot the P10F or whatever that one is, their full-size Glock 17S handgun. Pretty nice handgun. Nothing special for the money. They were really cheap for a while. For a while, they were like $300, which was a pretty good deal for a CZ. And yeah, M&P has, just for me, is like the best handgun to buy. If I had started over, I would be M&P all the way, but I'm kind of in the Glock ecosystem now. And I'm also not a fan of HK rifles, so famously. Banana Watch for another $1.99. Bunch prepaid HMG, which PSA bought HMG. Yeah, so if they took on the liabilities of HMG, then they should, morally they should, right, pay off the people or get HMG. Wait a second, how could they even do that? Let's say they bought HMG for $1 million. HMG had 200K in pre-orders or whatever it was. Shouldn't HMG just take the money that they were paid and use a part of that to pay off their people? Right? Isn't that how that should work? I don't know. That's wild to me if they didn't pay off their debts, though. Yeah. And then they canceled the project entirely. That's just insult to injury. They're just spitting on you at that point. Blue 236 says, hope you enjoy the upper I'm sending. It will be shipping tomorrow. Blue 236, could you put that in the live chat? What is it? What is it you're sending me? I don't even know what you're talking about. VP9 is decent. Yeah, dirty hipsters with their weird pants. My EDC is a P10C, which is a Glock 19 size handgun. If it's like the P10F or whatever it is, I'm sure it's great. No problems. DK Production, STG44s are getting out in the wild finally. Asterite says, not sure. All right, moving on to our last little piece of silliness. This is the Hornady 338 ARC. So we had the 6 ARC, which is of course 6mm in a AR-15 size platform. We have 300 Blackout. We have 8.6 Blackout. And what if, just for fun, we put in one more option in between those two, the 338 ARC. Yeah, 338 ARC. So the big little cartridge that packs a punch. Purposefully designed for hard-hitting subsonic performance, the 338 ARC delivers 1.5 times more energy than the 300 Blackout subsonic. The 338 ARC provides consistent with both super and subsonic loads, featuring the 307 grain sub-X bullet. That is a big, heavy, slow bullet coming out of an AR-15. And the 175 grain hollow point in black. The ultimate 338 cartridge in an AR-15. Well, I think you're the only one, so good job, Hornady. I think by definition you are the ultimate 338 frame. Isn't 338 Spectre small frame too? I don't even know what that is. Oh, 22 ARC. That's the other one, 22 ARC. I was trying to think what that was. Kevin raging Hornady for killing 8.6. We got 338 showed before GTA 6. Very true. Very, very true. Richard is saying 338 ARC is just 338 Spectre. So I'll take your guys' word for it on that. But I just thought it was an interesting little reveal. So quote unquote optimized for reliable cycling with supersonic and subsonic loads. Now, a question on here I couldn't find. Is this still using the 5.56 chambering? Or is this using the 6.5 Grendel case? Can somebody answer that for me in the chat? Is this using the 6.5 Grendel case or the 223 case? Yeah, it's very similar to the idea of 9x39, for sure. For sure. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the 2 rounds. Oh, no, I already have them pulled up. Let's not do that. Okay, so I already have them both pulled up here. This is the 175 grain hollow point. So this is the match black supersonic. So what they're claiming is with a 175, they say 6.5. Okay, so this is using the 6.5 case, which kind of kills it right away because in an AR-15, the bolt is the weak point. If you're using a 6.5 case, you have to take out a lot of material from the face of the bolt, which means they are much more likely to crack. And you're putting a big, heavy projectile in there, a lot of energy, a lot of recoil, a lot of wear and tear. We'll see how long those bolts hold up. So they are quoting a 175 grain projectile at 2,075 FPS out of a 16-inch barrel. Now, I imagine this will perform very well out of shorter barrels as well, because it's a big bore cartridge, which tends to have a softer curve in terms of velocity from, say, a 10.5 to a 20-inch. There might only be like a 10% loss if you cut off like 30% of the barrel, right? So very efficient in terms of trade-offs. So 175 grains at 2,100, roughly, feet per second is almost 1,700 foot-pounds, which again, out of an AR-15, that's a lot of energy. Now, on the flip side of that is, you would hope so because they're an ammo company, right? Are you actually going to make use out of all that energy? And when I say all that energy, we're still talking like 30% less than 308 for a round that probably costs twice as much. So The only benefit is, AR-15-ish size package. But that is a lot of energy. So it's going to drop like a rock, of course. If you do a 200-yard zero, 300 yards is 5 MOA, 400 yards is 12 MOA, and then, of course, 500 is 20 MOA. So about double the drop of 5.56, which you would expect. You're running 175 grain projectile, double the weight, 50% slower. It drops twice as much. Shocker. Got a question here from, let me pull back over here, Nick. What's the status of your 6mm Creedmoor AR-10 build? Have you started it yet? Not yet. I have a bunch of parts here, but I don't have the barrel, which is the most important one. Yeah. Now, moving on to the more interesting load, I think, is the 307 grain subsonic, right? Very, very heavy. Now, they recommend, somebody mentioned twist rate in the chat. They recommend a 1-in-8 twist, which, as we know, even from some 300 blackout barrels, they're all the way down to 1-in-5 twist right now. 6.8 is down to a 1-in-3 twist, 1-in-3 twist. So, recommending 1-in-8. Maybe for the 175s, 1-in-8 is fine. But I think for the heavier projectiles, 1-in-5, 1-in-4, you'll probably see a bunch of them actually do that. Now, out of a 16-inch barrel with a 307 grain projectile, they are rating it at 1,000 feet per second, roughly, again, out of a 16-inch barrel, and 750 foot-pounds of energy, which for a subsonic, yeah, the CAC is 1.5, or 1-in-5, I should say. The energy out of a 16-inch barrel, 307 grain projectile rated at 750 foot-pounds, which that's a lot. That's a lot of energy for a subsonic projectile. However, energy on target is such a weird thing to measure. Depending on what you're shooting at, of course. Bigger game, you might want that a little bit more, but a slow-moving projectile that is relatively big and heavy, it can do damage in different ways. I think there's a really good video Brass Facts did with, who's that girl? I forget her name of her channel. Some backyard ballistician, is that it or something? They did a really good video on like different projectiles and what actually it makes good terminal effects and so on and so forth. So for me, 300 Blackout does so well because it's the same magazines, it's the same bolt, just a barrel swap, relatively quiet, and does what it needs to do within 100 yards for a subsonic application. Supersonic applications, you can go hog hunting with it. Medium game is going to be fine with 300 Blackout Supersonic, or if you need that for your specific application. I think it does those two things really well. It's niche. Boondock Ballistician, that's the one. Yeah, it's 300 Blackout is niche, but it performs well, right? And you can make really small 300 Blackout guns. You could probably make really small 338 arcs, but way more expensive. I don't believe that you could even get one of these things less than $1 a round, $1.50 a round. Because the projectiles and the cases are going to be way more expensive than 300 Blackout. Yeah. And Andrew says if it can't be bought in large quantities for reasonable prices, pass. Yeah. Yeah, Lou for real says everyone wants the VSS until it's time to do VSS things. Yeah. It's niche, man. I think unless it gets picked up by military or like for some niche hunting application, probably dead. And like, what does it matter if I shoot somebody, like let's say home defense, right? Let's say in Minecraft, I shoot somebody 6 times with my 300 Blackout Subsonic. What's the difference between that and 338 arc if I shoot them 6 times? Probably nothing, right? The only thing that matters in that is shot placement, right? 1 round stops, 2 round stops. That's kind of like a hunting thing. So for the civilian application, it's probably not quite as relevant. Yeah. Minecraft? Who's playing Minecraft? I'm not playing Minecraft. Never answer Pat's question ever. Oh, shoot. Is Pat asking me something? Oh, I did see this a couple times in the comment section. Thank you, Saboteur. Thank you. Have you heard of Gorilla magazines? Apparently, they are indestructible. Cheaper than most other magazines, too. It's questionable due to the torture test video's manufacturer's page. Yeah. Never trust a manufacturer. When they say anything about their product, take that information and throw it away. It's worthless. Who cares? Somebody does a drop test video and then their product magically survives and everybody else dies. Shocking. Yeah, it's garbage. It's garbage videos. It's like, you remember the Desert Tech video on their QMags, right? Indestructible. Perfect. No failures. More reliable than every other magazine on this. No, it's not true. It's not true. Never happened. Also, like, the Magpul PMags exist. Well, why does any other mag need to exist, right? Even though in the background you can see some Duramags, but like, different magazines are cool or fun to have, but you don't need to buy a bunch of different ones. Can you check Super Chat? Sorry, lol. Did you say something? I'm sorry. Cole A for $199 says, any suggestions for a 30mm QD mount sub $250, sub $250? I mean, that's a lot of money. You should be able to find a good one for sub $250. I don't know why you wouldn't. Do you have a brand in mind, but a QD mount? I could definitely find that. PMag supremacy, yes, sir. So yeah, I think the Hornady 338 ARC 338 ARC 338 ARC. I don't know how you want to say it. I think that's born to fail. Yeah, Lightnima says I only have non-PMags, so I don't mix calibers. Lots of ADMs in the chat, but I mean, $250 is a lot of money, so you should be able to get a good one for that. Let me look, because actually, I think LaRue QDs are on sale right now on my dealer site. So let me see real fast, actually. I don't know if I love them, though. Oh, everything LaRue is on sale. All right. That's a good time. Extended Picatinny riser. Oh, they have all the weird ones. 35 QD is 230. 30 is 219. So the QD SPR mount from LaRue is 220. It's a good price. But I'm sure we could find a better one, or at least something similar for not that much money. Yeah. I do the same things. If I'm running a 300 blackout, I will occasionally run Lancer mags. And then my 5.56 is just in PMags or Duramags. Or if I have like a specific ammo type that I'm using in one gun, like for whatever reason, I am using AAC 77 grains in my non-suppressed guns for whatever reason that day, right? For whatever reason, I keep those separate. So, you know, just a way to keep track of them a little better. Speaking of PSA and stealing money, they might have stolen money from me, actually. But we'll talk about that later, because that has an ADM. Yeah, ADMs are 220, at least on the dealer side. Midwest Industries are 175. It's not terrible. Midwest Industries mounts, not their T2 mounts, but their scope mounts are not terrible. So yeah, no, I think there are some good options. ADM, Midwest Industries, the LaRue on the dealer side is less than 250. So there are some good ones. Yeah, Nick says, I know it's not QD, but do you really need QD? Yeah, I agree. I don't think on some of the red dots where it's built in, I have a QD mount, but I don't think I have a QD mount for an optic. I don't think so. It's not my thing. But some people, they have like 4 nice guns, right? So they bought good guns, but then they only had good money for like one really nice LPVO, and then one really nice red dot, and then like one mid-range scope, and then they kind of just mix and match on QD mounts, right? And then they actually go in and they mark their turrets. Some people do that. That's a little nuts. Nick has some testing on AAC, not good to go. Yeah. I think, well, actually, Well, the only magnified optic that I have a QD lever on right now is the L-can, but that's Andrew's. And those also don't fit certain uppers. So thanks. All right. But with all that out of the way, guys, I think that's pretty much everything. I didn't have anything else prepared. Just the STG44, the Agent K USA, and talking about Hornady silliness with the 338 arc. So let's go ahead and talk about what's coming up next, though. All right, so there's 400 of you here right now. Next week, I think I want to set up a gun tuber death match where it is a bracket of all of our favorite gun tubers, like 32. I'll probably be on the list as well, so we can see me die in horrible fashion. But we'll set up some sort of scenario and then run 1v1s, and I'll let the chat decide who makes it out and who doesn't based on a certain set of criteria. So I think that could be fun. Maybe that'll do next week. And then I don't know what I'm doing the week after that. But then the following week, 3 weeks from now, is November 6th, which is election day. So we'll do an election stream 3 weeks from now. I think that could be fun. Yeah. But next week, GunTuber Deathmatch. Top 32, 1v1s, winner takes all. Hop wins. Hop, actually, just based on popularity, if I'm letting the chat decide every single one, Hop might actually win. Terribly says, I'll accept an honorable mention. I don't think you're making it, bro. I'm just saying. Like, I'm only making it because it's my stream, right? And to see me get voted out like the first round. But I think there are some potentially very fun matchups to talk about, and we'll make it fun. We'll try and make it fun. Most of my videos are ACO stuff, so maybe why lol. I think we're going to do a handgun-centric one first. So it's going to have a specific environment, a specific loadout, and then, you know, we take into some other things into consideration, and then we judge based off that criteria. And of course, have you guys pick the winners and losers, which is going to be good. It's going to be good. Brassfax makes it to the final. Yeah, I think Brass and Hop make it to the final. But, I mean, it is me, so I could choose whoever I want at some point. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the stream tonight. Thank you very much for your support. It was greatly appreciated. Thank you to everybody who is watching this later. Go ahead and comment "Thanks, Gary" down in the comments down below. And with all that out of the way, guys, let me find an outro for you guys so that we can let it play for a minute. So the stream doesn't just randomly cut off, because it does randomly cut off at times. What's a good little outro? Nonsense? No, that's way too long. It's like 2 minutes long. Here we go. All right, enjoy this. Speaking of the CC9 and James of TFB TV, you guys can watch him and Kevin, which also has to do with the 338 arc because he does the 8.6 blackout. So, gosh dang it, Nick. Nick for $5 says, "You're the only one doing this, dude. You're building an actual community with these streams. It's really fun talking to all the dudes each week." That's great. I mean, that's what I wanted to do with these streams, was once a week or more sometimes, depending on what's going on, is have a fun time chatting, hanging out with people, and going over topics and whatnot. Because, you know, I can do one edited video a week, sometimes 2 edited videos a week, but there's no real conversation there, right? Here's 8 minutes of me talking for you to enjoy or to hate on, right? But here you guys can say whatever you want to me, and yeah, have a good time hanging out, talk about a bunch of different topics. Like, I'm never going to make a video on the STG44 or 338 arc, or probably the CC9, but I can talk about it here. Kind of fun. Get your guys' thoughts and opinions on it. And of course, I genuinely appreciate all the support. Thank you all very much. Now, going back to where I was before I lost my train of thought, go ahead and enjoy James for 18 seconds.